My name is Colonel Jason Arndt. I'm currently serving as the director of USCAPOC's Strategic Initiatives Group. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker, Major General Isaac Johnson. General Johnson is a third-generation Army soldier. He enlisted in the Army Reserve in 1986 and commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1992 through Mississippi State University's Army ROTC program. He currently serves as the commanding general of the United States Army Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Command Airborne, the third largest unit of the Army Reserve with over 16,000 soldiers and civilians and global responsibilities. Prior to his current assignment, Major General Johnson has served and commanded at every level in the civil affairs community, from civil affairs planner to his previous assignment as the commanding general of the 351st Civil Affairs Command. He has conducted joint operations in Southcom, from Southcom to the Horn of Africa. Major General Johnson's success and recognition is not confined to his military career, as he also serves as the president and CEO of Texas Dow Employees Credit Union. TDECU is a $4.8 billion credit union with over 370,000 members. He also serves as a board of director on the Greater Houston Partnership, the Greater Houston Boys and Girls Clubs, and the TexAct Texas Bowl. Additionally, Major General Johnson is a husband to Demetria and a father to David, Bryce, Zachary, and Joshua. In his workshop, Major General Johnson will discuss civil affairs' ability to shape a competitive environment. Sir, over to you.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction. And, I got one more, rock to throw in my rucksack if I don't already have a little bit more work to do. And so I'm very proud to share that I was just appointed to the board of AAFES. So I'm going to be able to represent Army in AAFES and how it shows up in those dividends that are coming back to the force. So very excited about that. Well, hey, I'm sorry about some of the technical difficulties as we started off, but first of all, for everyone, good afternoon. I want to thank Colonel Arndt. Thank you for that nice introduction. I think most of that's the truth that you shared. And anyway, I would like to thank everyone, and I want to recognize the Civil Affairs Association leaders, members, and guests for the invitation and opportunity to speak with you again today. The last time we spoke, I think it was about a month ago at the Army Heritage Center in Carlisle, and we had a great conversation there. We had a great dining out, and just had an overall great time with the community. So I'll definitely share. I'm not sure if my legal team is on, but so there's certain things I can promote and certain things I can say about the association. So what I would share is, and I think within the lines, is that teammates, this is our community, this is our association. I get a lot of value in learning here, as you do, and I think members across our footprint can enjoy too. So I think I colored within the lines by saying that, and so we'll continue to move forward with that. And so to jump right in it, I'll tell you, I'm right at 90 days in as USACAPOC commander, and I'm drafting my first 90 days assessment of the force. I've been very impressed with what I've seen. I'm so excited about some of the initiatives that we're doing around, what you're going to hear about today. You're going to hear about a customer. You're going to hear about, our brand. You're going to hear about how we continue to move the ball forward. And then our 38 golf program. So today I want to share my thoughts on how civil affairs can shape a competitive environment. And in order to deter and prevent conflict. We also have plenty of time for some questions and discussion, so hopefully I won't go too long. And I welcome your feedback today, especially with a great group of distinguished professionals that I've seen on the line. I see a lot of names that I know. I'm not going to start call outs, but probably will somewhere along the way. So your input help us improve our organizations and meet the requirements of our combatant commanders and help our community. So in keeping with the overall theme of the symposium, I want to focus on 3 areas where civil affairs can uniquely contribute to the Army's competitive posture. They are, there's 3 things. They may take a little while to talk about, but 3 things: information advantage, customer service, and the 38 golf program. The first area that CA can help add capability to competition is information advantage. Given the theme of the symposium, I think understanding and applying emerging information advantages concepts is critical to provide our customers the capabilities they need. I see our customers as the geographic combatant commanders, Army Service Component Commanders, ASCCs, and Corps commanders. If we don't meet the needs of this customer base within the information advantage concept, our force, in my assessment, our force rapidly becomes irrelevant and unable to provide critical civil affairs capabilities. And with my head on this USACAPOC commander, it's not only civil affairs capabilities, but it's psychological operations capabilities and information operation capabilities. At USCAPOC, we have conducted several rounds of innovation and study to better understand the information advantage concept. Internally, we refer to this as Operation Dominance Convergence. That's an internal concept, internal name. So if you go out to any standard doctrine that's out there, you will not see that. So we're using that internally, and then we'll continue to nest that and grow that term as we continue to test it internally. We're in the process of submitting as you all know that I shared recently, we're in the process of submitting a force design update based off of those results and the direction of the Army is taking in regarding information advantage. I'm excited about the capabilities this force design update brings to our civil affairs battalions, brigades, and command. I've been studying it. I think it was well done. It was started well before me, but the team that you have now leading USCAPOC, we're going to implement it. So at each echelon, we are providing our commanders with personnel and skill sets required to integrate into larger planned information advantage elements. These teams enhance the non-lethal capabilities inherent to civil affairs forces and allow commanders to achieve their objectives in the information advantage. This is critical during competition when permissions and authorities for lethal effects are still withheld from the commander. And having participated in training events and in different places around the world, to include Korea, so when you start going through the exercises, there's a point where senior commanders must ask for permissions to use certain capabilities. So on to the next topic. Another topic I want to emphasize is the increased focus on customer service as I shared, at the GCC, ASCCs, and core levels. This is a key component of our ability to compete. Given the structural changes to the general purpose force portion of our regiment, our corps, I believe the requirements to deploy Army component civil affairs forces will only increase in the future. And I'll tell you, our demand for our civil affairs capabilities have already doubled since the last FY. So we're managing through that right now. And at the theater level, deterrence, campaigning, and the concept of winning without fighting that we are discussing here demand that USCAPOC be able to meet our customer requirements, and we will accomplish this in several ways. First, we need to educate our customers on our capabilities at echelon, particularly when the force design update is approved and our new structure becomes fully mission capable. Working with our customers early on is critical to developing requirements. I want to avoid the ad hoc borrowed military manpower requests for forces and provide specific capabilities that direct impact to the informational environment and unique challenges commanders face. And I think last month, it was for Thanksgiving. It was for Halloween. I said, I don't want the combatant commands. I don't want our customers asking for Frankenstein, because they give this request and it looks like Frankenstein on paper, and so we go back. The team, we're responsible for going back and say, wait a minute, what are you trying to do? What effect are you trying to do? And they say, well, we're trying to scare people. Say, well, okay, well, how about us give you a capability to scare people versus you coming up with this? And it comes for us educating those ASCCs and COCOMs on the capabilities of our the capabilities that we provide in our structure. The second piece of improving our customer focus and service is the Army's Regional Aligned Readiness and Modernization Model, REARM, which you've probably heard. REARM will allow us to deliver mission-ready units capable of deploying within a short time frame. This model also provides both units and soldiers greater predictability. Equally important, it provides opportunities for greater interoperability for Compo 1 forces. And we'll talk about that. We continue. I understand Brigadier General Beaupre was on earlier and had some great comments and discussion. The forces needed to rapidly scale civil affairs capabilities in a particular theater will already be identified. This will make it much easier for AC and RC civil affairs forces to collaborate if the scope of a mission increases rapidly. The last area where CA can contribute to competition is the 38 Golf program. Military governance specialists. These specialists have been in existence for over 10 years now, and the program is already starting to mature. There are many reasons for our recent successes, but I want to publicly recognize our partners at SWIC for their support and hard work in growing this program. In the not so distant past, 38 golf panels would consist of maybe 10 to 15 candidates. In the upcoming panel this month, if we haven't already met, we're going to have approximately 134 candidates. This alone is a big success story. The recent ability to direct commission experienced professionals into the Army is another fantastic opportunity to bring in new talent. However, the panels create a tremendous administrative overload. Our partners at SWIC have taken on these additional requirements and are helping us close the gap of 38 golf vacancies at a pace unimaginable a couple of years ago. So I definitely want to clearly give a call out to SWIC there. The 38 golf program is now a capability that meets the promise of this original vision. And none of this is possible without our partners at SWIC. The other piece of the 38 golf program I want to share with you are the linkages and collaborations we are building with civil institutions. I have completed memorandums of understanding with the Smithsonian and the city of Milwaukee, and we are finalizing our agreements with Rice University, Texas A&M, and the University of Notre Dame, and Fresno State University. During my command tenure, I intend to have more memorandums with other partner institutions from all sectors of governance, economics, rule of law, and social services. And I'll tell you, there's some local, I'm in Houston, so there's some other local institutions that's already jumping on. They see their peers in and they want to see how they can provide support to the force and provide reach back capabilities. So more to follow there. And I look forward to signing a couple of those in a couple of weeks here, the one at Rice and at A&M. But what is the so what of the 38 golf program? And how do our partnerships and this program allow us to shape a competitive environment? The 38 golf provides two significant advantages. First, it allows us to contribute with PhD subject matter experts to a whole of government approach, particularly in competition where DoD is not the lead agency, as you all know. Additionally, our network of partners provide tremendous depth and reach back support, enable us to address a complex web of wicked set problems that are here in the competition phase, especially that in the Pacific. So, we're very excited about that. And it's going to be a partnership, and it's going to a partnership and a relationship that we're going to have to develop with these experts. We can't just call them, every 10 years and ask for something. I think there's going to be a relationship and there's going to be opportunities to visit. So, in conclusion, large scale combat operations at division, corps, and theater levels increasingly dominate academic discussions regarding the Army 2030 concept. Given the threat environment, these are worthwhile investments of our time and our mental energy. However, it is short-sighted to think that we cannot successfully compete and deter our adversaries, providing time and space for our forces to develop strategic advantages. USACAPOC, along with our active component counterparts, is uniquely positioned for competition and to win without fighting. But we're able to fight. If it comes to a fight, we will fight. Our contributions to the information advantage and increased focus on customer service and the 38 golf programs are the essential elements of how we intend to ensure USACAPOC remains a decisive component of competition and deterrence. Underpinning all of this is our interoperability with the active duty forces. So we'll continue to, I think there's opportunities there to continue to educate the force on the 38 Sierra, 38 Alpha, what does that mean? Reserve versus, the active duty courses that we have. So there's some more, I think there's opportunities where I sit in my seat in coordinating with SWIC and other stakeholders in the community to help, message and help provide clarity there. So thank you again to the Civil Affairs Association for this opportunity to dialogue with such a distinguished group of leaders and dedicated professionals. I welcome your thoughts and some comments on these topics. We're going to open it up for some questions here in a second, but I'm passionate about making this community stronger in the value that you give. And I have one public announcement. I got to get this out there because it's coming. And so as all you know, Toy Drop 2.0 is going to be commencing in the first week of December. And this is clearly a training event to improve safety, jump master proficiency, and not only that, but to tell the USCAPOC story and to tell the Army Reserve story. So we got a lot of nations coming in, and we even have some Thai jump masters coming in. So I think I love to tell the story that a lot of people are running behind those Thai wings because I was just in a couple months ago, I was in Arndt, outside of Amsterdam, and I was actually talking to my German counterpart, who's an airborne commander, and we was talking about foreign jump wings that we had, and he said, "Hey, I'm trying to get me some Thai wings." So I'm like, "Me too." And so another country that know them, and we're talking about Thai jump wings. So I know some invitations have gone out, and if you know someone that may be interested, that's jump qualified and they're current, or just send us a note. And so because there may be some opportunities there. It's not going to be it's going to be hard shoots. It's not going to be this lottery that we've had in the past. So that's changed a little bit. That's my public announcement, and so I will pause there and turn it back over to Colonel Arndt or to a facilitator to take some questions.
Hey, sir, we do have a couple questions in the chat. So, but I will, if people have a microphone, I'll just call your name. If you have a microphone, just come up and ask your question. And if you don't have a microphone, then I'll just read it and we'll go. So let's start with Mr. Baskins. All right, so his microphone is not working, and his question is, what are a couple examples of recent real-world, non-exercise civil affairs successes? This will help the audience better understand what is considered a success for civil affairs. And sir, your microphone is still muted.
So I will speak from personal knowledge and be respectful of the level security level that we have here. A particular success, one that I was involved in, was in Korea actually. So we were so there were capabilities that were in South Korea that we needed to have in place. I would just say that there were probably I could say I think there were maybe some missile sites that we needed to have in place, and the local community was not very happy, and so it was a disconnect between the local populace and the military objectives there. And we were able to pull together a team. It was actually one of our CAT teams that was there on PN. So at his more tactical level, was able to go in, meet with community leaders, find out what the concerns were. And those concerns weren't just, that we have this here. It was, hey, you have this here, and when you're doing the testing, it's during school time. So our children are disrupted during school hours. And we wouldn't have had that unless a team went there and sat with a local and had a key leader engagement. And so we were able to shape some of our testing and exercise and not exercise, but real world testing of capabilities where it didn't interrupt. And so, I mean, at its rawest form, that was key leader engagement. It was helping get to the objectives of the commander there on Penn, and that was a true civil affairs success story. There's also, I have knowledge of, I think the next one would be the time I spent in PACOM, where we were bringing effects to Oceania. So the southern part of the Pacific, there's a string of islands down there. And so I think all of you, if you study, you may know the importance of some of those islands. And so, yeah, we was able to have some engagements there. And as a result, we were able to have engagements on those islands to help advance in competition to help advance U.S. interests. And those U.S. interests could have been, hey, just in case a ship come up here, we want to make sure it can dock here. So, I mean, so again, at the most tactical levels, and that was, civil affairs, but it was larger than civil affairs. It was psychological operations that are involved in there, some IO there, and probably some other capabilities. So it was that information information dominance that I was conversion dominance concept that I was sharing with you earlier, in practice, but not necessary doctrine. It's probably one more I could think of, so I'll just give you two, and hopefully those were two examples of some real world non-exercise that we need. And I also share, it's a great point, because I'll tell you what we must balance at USCAPOC. We are, this command, as you all know, it's not a strategic reserve. We are operational reserve. We mobilize folks all the time to go somewhere. Yet we still have requirements, training requirements that we have to do. And you probably heard that, hey, USACAPOC, we don't want you to burn your readiness by participating in supporting a COCOM in a real world event. And so that's where I must, step up and say, hey, this is not exercise here. This is real world where we can bring capabilities to a combatant commander to help with a real world situation that's going on. And so we have to continue to balance that, and it's not easy, but we must remain relevant to our ASCCs and COCOMs. Okay, I'll pause there. What else we got?
Sir, we had a question from Mr. Brian Hancock. Mr. Hancock, if your microphone's working, please state your question.
Good afternoon, sir. It's great to see you again. Congratulations on your promotion from 351 to USACAPOC CG. Well deserved. I don't have a simple question. I apologize. A year ago here at Civil Affairs Association, your predecessor, Major General Coggins, gave a great keynote, and he talked about the fact that war is now changing faster at any time that it has in the last century. I think he's absolutely correct about that. And we've also seen Lieutenant General Jody Daniels publish that article on changing culture in the reserve and getting away from readiness metrics. In her recent AUSA address, she expressed a willingness for innovation and for acceptance of risk for more battlefield relevant training and operations. Now, given that the pace of change is unprecedented, I know you've only been in the chair 90 days, but are you in the process of formulating an unprecedented plan to meet the unprecedented challenge? And if share just a little bit of that with the community, over.
Well, Brian's always been a big brain thinker, and of course, I'm going to get some big brain questions. So I get it, and I'm just happy that you're still on my team. We may be a little removed, but still on my team. So, rather, I'm still on your team. So, well, a couple things there. I'm going to try to unpack it as quick as I can. One is I completely align with the CAR's with her statement in her intent. So much so, you know, at least for USCAPOC and the folks I rate and senior rate, I just recently pushed out my support form. And, you know, and in that support form, it's not, you won't see not one thought or number on there around readiness. I give guidance of my intent is you must balance the two. Now, clearly, you must have a certain level of readiness to actually push a unit or a soldier out the door. And so, to me, readiness to a certain degree is table stakes. I don't want to talk about readiness in its truest, in its rawest form that we might have talked about in past years around numbers, because we already need that in order to achieve, to bring effects to, and like I said, get people out the door. So you have to do both. Clearly there's a balance, and clearly there's, as I said, there's a table stakes around certain readiness matrix, and I don't want to walk past the readiness matrix. I want to make sure I'm giving the right thoughts around it, because when I look at a number, it's still a soldier. Every number to a certain degree affects a soldier. And so if you're taking care of your readiness, of course, you're taking care of soldiers. Okay, got it. I'll come off with that. Now, what plan are we trying to do? Well, I guess I could say directed, my civilian job, I try to say I, influence, or I shared, or I asked. I guess in this case, I could say I directed, but it's still influencing. So anyway, as one team, me and my, in the COCOM commanders, the POG and the TIHOG, the direction I've given, or guidance I've given is, I want you to engage with your customers. So I want you to actually be OCONUS. Get out there, have one-on-ones, have office calls, and not only them, but have deeper in their organizations, have those to understand the problem sets that we're doing that are out there. Number two, what capabilities we can bring, and that we bring irrelevant capabilities in this unprecedented time that you're sharing. So do I have a master plan that I'm rolling out to meet some big Army plan, master plan? No, I do not. What it is more decentralized to meet the unique ask and demands from the COCOMs around the world. As you may know, Southcom will have a different problem set and request than UCOM or PACOM for that matter, or AFRICOM. So I think by giving that commander's guidance, decentralizing, making sure we engage with our customers, I think we will keep up with that pace and still be relevant to the fight. Over.
Okay, sir. The next question that we have is from Lalita Balakrishnan. If your microphone is working, just come up. Otherwise, I can read it.
No, it's working. Sir, thank you again for taking the time. I'm actually new to civil affairs. I came over from MI, so it's a wonderful experience to hear all of these fascinating concepts and people talk today. My question, just building off of something I heard this morning from the active component, was the training piece. So as we're going through CAQC, does USACAPOC have a plan to, I guess, equalize the playing field in terms of the training that we're getting as we're going through CAQC? And does that difference, withhold the reserve side from qualifying for certain, training opportunities, deployments, or I guess just even being held in the same regard in terms of readiness and competency? I think your microphone's off, sir.
Yeah. I keep trying to find that button. Look, we've been doing this virtual stuff for years now, and I still can't find the button that hey, great. But first of all, welcome to the community. Thank you for coming over. Hey, the baseline that you're bringing over from MI will be very beneficial. So wait a minute, are you CA or PSYOP? Where did you come over?
I came over to CA, sir.
Okay, 38. That's what I'm talking about. It's not wrong. I got it, And I tell you, as a traditional CA, I have to make sure that it's one team. I have two more capabilities out there. I PsyOps and I IO brother. And so complex question. I mean, it's a simple question, but it's a complex answer in that and this is not going to happen. I'm going to tell you, but but for a commander putting soldiers who are about to go to CAQC on a 3-month order, active, 3-month order, where they can train, work out every day, and prepare and do repetitions and do all that. And so by the time they hit the CA course, they'll be ready. But clearly, that's not the way we're budgeted, and that's not what we have. So we still, as reservists, have to do that citizen soldier thing. We may still have a full-time employment, or we may be a full-time student, and we're gonna have to get out there and work out and get out there and do it after hours. And at some point, maybe you can do an AT where you can really concentrate in on before you leave off from school. But the standards are the same. The standards, at least at the beginning of the first 11 weeks of the core civil affairs course, are the same between reserve component and active. And then, as you know, past that is where the active, you can go into a 38 Sierra, where you started getting civil affairs soft training skills and additional language. So that, that total program, the total training course could be from 40 to 48 weeks. We have had partial success at bringing soldiers onto the active duty courses. Specifically, I think we just had several soldiers go through the 38-7 through the psychological and operation course. And frankly, we didn't do as well as I anticipated. So, we're going to go back, continue to analyze that. Why did we have a fallout rate that we had? And then the person who was successful to make it through, what did they do? So it's still going to fall back on, it's not easy, but we're going to have to prepare, because my goal is that we get we get a soldier like you, go through the basic CA course. You're 38 qualified, and then there's a potential selection, and you identify to go on through to become a 38 Sierra. So that's my thought. Clearly, we have some talks with the schoolhouse with SWIC about this, but it's one team, one fight, and we have to be integrated, fully integrated. So thanks. That probably didn't answer your question, but it's a simple question, but a complex answer. And thank you for coming to the community. One last question. Have you gone to CAQC yet?
I have a date in July, sir.
July. Oh, so you got some time.
Or January, if anyone else wants to drop out.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the community to talk about. So I think my aide de camp is on here and a couple other people. So you never know. But yes, please, you got to be physically ready, all that good stuff. And then clearly train up on the materials that are allowed to be released, train up on those. So
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Sir, we had a series of 2 questions from Giancarlo.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much. It's always each of these Civil Affairs Association symposium is just great to see the community grow and build. Appreciate your leadership. Loved hearing formalizing, a key word I'm really making me happy to hear is we're embracing risk from the car. I know those MOUs, there's a lot of legal folks that don't want us to take any type of risk, perceived associations, but we got to take some risk. We can do it smart. So I just wanted to thank you for hearing that. My question was, I'm actually with Scientific Innovation Command, and we are tied into some amazing technologists and being tied into industry now as a result of, frankly, some of my civil affairs work. We have an opportunity to leverage a lot of their momentum, and we're really we don't have a strong seat at that table. And I heard you mention you're based in Houston and General Klein and that command is, and I was going to ask, is there any formal discussion, or are you guys, is USACAPOC working with 75th by any chance? And if not, I'm glad to help. Just wanted to ask that quick question. Question number one.
First of all, great question. Clearly, I know General Klein, and hopefully I'll have him on my invitational jump first leg. So when we go out the door, so we're still working at, but on a permissive jump order. But look forward to him joining us at Toy Drop. Only thing I see is opportunity. I can't think of anything, and maybe one of my teammates may be on, but I can't think of anything formally that, or informal that we have with the 75th right now, being in our backyard, and of course, with the Army Futures Command being right there in Austin. I think there are opportunities, but I will also say that there's some things that are going on in the classification level here. I think we're good at this. There's some things that are going on, more to follow between cyberspace, CA, and for lack of a better word, I think it's a triad that and I know the 75th is in there a little bit too. So I think at some of the highest levels, there may be some of that coordination that's going on, but below the line, at our units, what can you actually see or participate in? I'm not sure just yet. Great question, but I see it's nothing but opportunity though.
Outstanding, sir. I'll continue to look out for the CA community. The next question is 38 Golfs. I think loved your passion for them. I am one. Love the vision. Great idea. Now it's hard to deploy. And as you mentioned, we're operational reserves. Any thoughts, any initiatives in work to help get these top shelf civilian talent more easily deployed and supporting our warfighters downrange?
Well, let's see. Are you talking about on the Army? You talking about green suiters, right? You're not talking about the reach bait capability. You're talking about our soldiers, right?
Right. 38 Golfs, getting civilians that, is there any talk of accelerating or making it easier for them to do shorter deployments, any type of, it's been hard to get them even to support exercises. Okay.
Well, so thanks for that feedback. Because I see, I respectful to all our forces. I just see green suiters. I don't see, clearly I see a CAPOC patch and I know I'm smart enough to ask the next question of, what do you do within the community? What you do within USCAPOC? Now, probably a senior commander outside of USCAPOC may not know that. They see a CA patch and they're like, oh, you could do this. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm a 38 Golf, or no, I'm a 37. I'm like, what are you talking about? You ran that patch. I need you to do X. So, I get that. But if you're 38 Golf, I mean, as long as there is, to me, as long as there is, there's a requirement, and and that requirement demands a 38 Golf, then we pull it in. If there's an exercise or training or something like that, I don't see why we would have barriers to our 38 Golf going out if they're, if they've been commissioned and they've gone through in our ranks. So I'll take that back to see why, and maybe it's just not a demand. But in some cases, we may be able to create our own demand. And I think we do that by engaging with the COCOMs to say, hey, what are you getting after? What are some things you're trying to do? Is our 3 talking to their 3? Is our 9 talking to their 9? Or in those COCOM commanders going out and the pod commanders going out. And that's where we can bring a capability, because there may be a demand signal. They just may not know what to ask for, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir. Excellent. Outstanding. Well said.
Okay. All right. Thanks. But that's on my mind. So thank you. Both of those are top of mind to me. Thanks.
All right, sir. Our next question is from Basir Rayet.
Major General, sir, thank you for your presentation and your leadership. I'm a civilian and NATO Turkish citizen. Got involved with CIMIC folks because I tend to be blunt with the way I assess things. And thank you for recognizing experts, because a lot of the times they're only someone when needed, and the other times there's basically a fortress. Uh, my question is regarding how to combat groupthink, sir. And I say combat because sometimes, way before the Russian invasion, 10 years ago, when I warned about China, and specifically my threat was not about China rising. It was more about complacency and negligence against the threat, and basically submitting because, you know, interests, politics at various level, from, you know, corporate top echelon all the way to small mom and pop stores, basically not recognizing the threat. So fast forward, I guess such communities create a certain group think and restrict their communities of interest. So what are your words of wisdom, sir, in basically how to combating group think, and then how to tap in and provide more accurate security threat assessment? Thank you.
Okay, hey, you know, I'm not sure if they're gonna be words of wisdom or not, but I'll just tell you from my foxhole what something that I do to prevent groupthink. Because I'm telling you right now, if I'm sitting in a staff meeting and I ask a question, the first person comes up and says something favorable to what I might be wanting or something, you know, 8 times or 9 times out of 10, the next person is gonna like, yeah. And then next thing is, yeah. And then there's somebody who has some courage, but they're sitting on it and they're not gonna say anything because like, I'm not gonna be that person. So we just had group thinking. Now we're about to move out and go left when we probably should be going right. So I get group think. And I think all senior leaders always need to think about that, because not everyone has a comfort in voicing an opposing opinion. So one way I try to get after that is, well, there's a couple ways I get after that. One is when I'm with leaders and we're going through discussions and I want to avoid groupthink, I actually specifically call on folks around the table. I'll call and say, hey, what are your thoughts? And I'll have that conversation. And then I'll say, hey, I'll pick someone else and say, hey, what are your thoughts on that? And just really push it and try to create a comfort where they can speak up. Because I think one of the best things you're gonna hear is, but, you know, like, but, and then that's when you starting to get you're getting some more thoughts. And I think it helps us shape, we're able to see all parts, all sides of the arguments. Now, at some point, we're going to step the table and move out, and that's the way we go. You know, we're going to hear everybody get their voice in. So that's one, actually calling and testing different thoughts. The second one is, I do conduct one-on-ones, because again, you still, you know, as folks may feel comfortable, or they may voice an opinion or something like that. I still conduct one-on-ones to say, hey, what's your thoughts? And people in non-public forums kind of, you know, many times give me a little bit more. The last one is, you know, we're all Army here and civilians. So the last one that I rely on is, this may sound cheesy, but I'd rely on the MDMP process. It's somewhere in the MDMP, the military decision-making process, where staffs are supposed to bring their assessments to the fight. And so it's when you get those assessments from do you start getting more a better feel for and they're called staff estimates, not assessment. They're staff estimates to and then they bring that all together, and then they brainstorm some more from there, and so those are some of the 3 things that I work on. And then I tell you, if we practice those even out at the company level, you know, I think you start getting out of that group think. And one thing I've had to continue to learn, I'm only human. I put my boots on one at a time like everybody else. If I ask a question, and if I give my positioning on that question, most likely the team is going to rally around it. And it may not be a good idea. So I have to watch what I share, you know, now, and be very careful. I'll pause there. Go ahead.
It truly, they are words of wisdom, and I'm very glad they are on the record. And this is coming from basically a more of a critical thinker, usually declared persona non grata. But I'm very glad that I'm in wonderful company, and I'm actually going to be joining the association as well. Thank you, sir.
All right, good stuff. I don't have anything to say about you joining the association just in case legal's on, but you know, I look forward to you being a member of the association. All right.
All right, sir. I think you have time for one more question. And so, Mr. Holshek, please ask your question.
Hey, Jason, thanks a lot. General, that was a really great discussion, and I wanted to follow up on a couple of things that I mentioned earlier on. And so, if kind of continuing along this line, I'm trying to put on. Let me see if I can show. I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to bring this up. This was something I showed earlier today because I grabbed some excerpts from the different strategic documents, from both sides of the pond. The NATO strategic concept from earlier this year, and of course, the national security strategy, national defense strategy, and the concept of integrated deterrence. And what is really, really, really obvious in all of this, and everything that you've been saying, as a matter of fact, things that General Pope-Perry has been saying is we need to move to the next level in the way that we integrate and work with our CIMIC allies. In not just the NATO and the UN CIMIC allies, because these are our counterparts in the regions who are not only help us get access, but situational understanding, situational awareness, and that civil knowledge that they can be a real accelerator for us. And we can be a real a help for them. So there's been some progress along those lines. But what I wanted to ask in that regard was, how does, from where you are in the foxhole, not from the proponent's perspective, but from the USACAPOC perspective, what are you considering doing in order to not only deepen but make more sustainable on the institutional level the relationship between us and our CIMIC partners? For example, would you consider an LNO at the CCOE from USACAPOC that you would have? I know the 353rd has been working very closely with our allies in the operational area in Europe for very obvious reasons. And that has been very, very fruitful for both sides. But for example, accessing different platforms, online platforms that are available from the CCOE, from the UN, from PKSOI, that will help our guys back at home station become more understanding and aware of how our CIMIC allies operate, how they see things, what things we have in common. So when we go to lace up with them, when we go to do the lash up with them, we're already leaning forward in the saddle and we're prepared and we can ramp up very quickly. Over to you, sir.
Hey, great question, and thanks for sharing that document. I'll go back to what I shared towards the beginning, and that is supporting our customer. And those customers are the COCOMs and the ASCCs. So, because each COCOM is different, and of course, and I'm going to specifically zoom in on CIMIC that's in Europe, because each is different. Each may have a different requirement or a level of our engagement in interagency and or interoperabilities. So General Thompson, Commander 353, he's done what I've been asking. He's gotten after it. He's gone out and he's definitely done his battlefield circulations throughout Europe. And he's come back with questions like, hey, sir, can we be a member of CCOE? And so, I understand there's a fee required there, and he's asked other things. And for a matter of fact, I think there's an LNO already sitting back at 353. So I'm open. I am definitely open to opportunities to continue to integrate. And not only that, and I'm open to opportunities, we actually have a budget that we have now is more of a demand budget. So we have our budget for this year, but if we burn through that budget and there's a opportunity or capability that someone may need, there may be some opportunities, where we can fund something to make it happen. Or I think it's always a great day when someone else has a pot of money and we just have to provide a soldier or a unit to make that happen. So it goes both ways, to where that integration is a push from us, but it's also a pull from the COCOMs, who I say are our customers. So it's very timely. And the last thing I'd say, because we're in the people business, it really is going to require, in my assessment, boots on ground in some cases to develop those relationships. And so we'll continue to get after that. There are probably some more things that we could be doing, and we definitely rely on the association to, send us over ideas. And I'll tell you one last thing that we are going to be doing at CAPOC a better job of is sending a demand signal to the association around topics, around papers or topics that we need to may help us and to further, not only further our communities, but to maybe get out a wicked problem that's coming across from one of the COCOMs. So I hope that helped a little bit. And I'm excited of what we're trying to do there. Okay.
Yes, sir, certainly. And again, this is all in fact, to do a better job of servicing those customers in those theater and service commands in the regions. And I failed to mention another great opportunity is to send CA officers out to be those U.S. military observers in UN missions. And PKSOI, in fact, can tell you how to do that. But General Van Roosen and myself are two people that actually wore blue hats, UN field missions in Africa. And we were able to gain incredible knowledge of the region and contacts and networks. It was General Carter at the time who was the AFRICOM commander, General Carter Ham, who really benefited from that. When he came to do his battlefield circulation visits and talk with me or talk with Hugh Van Roosen in the AO, we were able to give him a lot of information and situational understanding that he otherwise wouldn't have been able to get. And that's simply because we were involved in that program. And CA is perfect for this mission.
I totally agree. And again, I'm really heartened that the command is responding and in responding to get out there and meet those demands and hopefully deepen and improve some of our interoperabilities with our command. So, hey, in the closing, I would like to say, look, I was able to scroll through and see some of the names out here. Would love to say hi to everybody, but if it's so good to see many of the names out here, and I'm so excited. I think it's an honor and a privilege to sit in this seat. And I was recently with a couple other quote unquote 2-star generals, and we were all together. And one of them leaned over to me and said, you got the coolest job in the Army Reserve. And I said, I have the coolest job in the Army, as far as I'm concerned. So, hey, I'll continue to try to make a presence here and continue this relationship. And I pray that everyone is sharing the great things that our association is doing. Thank you. Bulldog 6 out.